Victorian opposition leader Michael O'Brien's job is under threat as a leadership spill from former leader Matthew Guy looms tomorrow. Guy and two other senior shadow ministers, including Tim Smith, who you know here from Sky News, resigned from shadow cabinet this morning. An in-person meeting is now locked in, set to be held at the Liberal Party's Melbourne headquarters tomorrow morning. For more on this developing story, I'm joined now by the Australian's Victorian editor, John Ferguson. John, no one knows Victorian politics like you. O'Brien insists he's got the majority support of his party room. Here's what the current opposition leader had to say today.
So I've taken the decision to arrange an in-person meeting of the Parliamentary Liberal Party meeting tomorrow morning. It's time to put these issues to bed because Victorians want the Liberal Party focused on Victorians and not on ourselves. That's all I've got to say at the moment, and I'll see you all tomorrow morning.
All right, so where is this up to tonight, John?
Well, Peter, I suppose if you were going to have a ballot right now, Michael O'Brien would be in a fair bit of strife. The Guy people, and they're talking it up as these, you know, as you would if you're in their position, are arguing that they've got at least 20 of the 31 votes. I'm not calling it because it's too early. Anything could happen tonight, but you can say safely that Michael O'Brien is in the fight of his life to keep the leadership.
There was some sort of chatter that the pressure had been applied to O'Brien to resign, to try and maybe keep him in the tent, keep him on in another position, but clearly now it's got to the spill level. They haven't been able to manage it quietly behind closed doors. Would that be right?
Oh, that's right. I mean, there's no way that Michael O'Brien is going to shift. He has no interest in being blasted out, and in many ways you can't blame him. I mean, he sees this as the 2022 election is his to contest. There's a lot of factional, as you know, the Victorian Liberal Party is incredibly toxic and has been for years, and there's a lot of factionalism behind this. O'Brien thinks he's the best bloke for the job, but I think it's going to be hard for him. Unless something miraculous happens overnight, I think he's really going to struggle.
Look, and even if he survives, you know, it'll still be tightly contested. There'll be plenty of votes in it for Matthew Guy. And of course, he had a challenge a bit earlier in the year. Is it inevitable, in order to get some clear air, that there needs to be a change? And if there is a change, you know, you can change the leaders, but are you going to change the policies or the offering to the Victorian people? What does the opposition need to do to get back in the game?
Well, I think they need to work out how to combat Daniel Andrews. Andrews, you know, a lot of people don't like him, but he's a formidable tactician. And if I were, I suppose, if I were running the show for the Libs, I'd be wanting to have a softer, project a softer image because I don't think you can defeat Andrews on his own turf. That would be my starting point anyway, Peter.
Well, they've got to take their gloves off too. I mean, a lot of people used to say to the federal opposition and then federal opposition, you can't beat Kevin Rudd or you can't beat Julia Gillard. Well, you won't beat them if you won't get into the ring. I mean, that's part of the problem is the absence of a sense of fight and a lot of dead wood in their ranks, John.
Oh, look, that's absolutely correct. I mean, it's full of dead wood. I mean, look, the thing that I suppose I was thinking about today, I think what will have happened with the pandemic is that the Liberal Party will have, the coalition generally, will have got their base back. I think that small business, anyone in private sector, people who've been smashed by the pandemic, smashed by the lockdowns. So we're talking a real core constituency of the Liberal Party in particular. I think they'll have, just by virtue of what's happened, they'll have won back, in inverted commas, that vote. What they've got to do, I think that's their biggest challenge. How are Victorians going to have a better existence? And you're right, you've got to get into the ring to convince people. But I think they've won the base back. I think now it's that real contested vote in between the base and 50% plus one.
All right, well, we'll watch it all closely. Around 8 o'clock, I'm told, we'll have a result. John Ferguson, thank you as always for your time.
Thank you, Peter.